Good morning, Year 5, and welcome back to another maths lesson. I hope you all had a lovely weekend. So, as like always, we're going to start with our flashback 4 questions. So what I want you to do now is pause the video and answer these 4 questions, so including the bonus question, in your maths book. So pause the video to do that now. Okay, thanks everyone. Now let's have a look at the answers. So question 1. 835 millilitres of juice is poured equally between 5 glasses. How much juice is in each glass? So you should have done 835 divided by 5 and got 167 millilitres. Okay, question 2. 38 times 23. The answer is 874, and you could have used column method to calculate that. Question 3. 20 times 60 is 1,200. You could have used column method, or you could have used your facts. So 2 times 6 is 12, times 100 is 1,200. Okay, question 4. You should have added all these together, and in total you would have got £165. And our bonus question, what time is the clock saying and how can we say it? So the clock is showing the time 8:25, because the little hand is on 8 and the big hand on 25. We can say 25 past 8, 25 minutes past 8, or we could say, but we don't say very often, 35 to 9, because we've got 35 minutes left of the hour until 9 o'clock. So quickly pause the video and mark these answers in a purple pen or a different coloured pen, doing a tick or a dot for ones you got correct or incorrect. Pause the video to do that now. Okay, so you've had a few lessons on division now, but today we're going to be dividing with remainders. So what I want you to do is pause the video, write the date and the LO. The date is the 25th of the 1st, 21, and the LO is divide with remainders. So pause the video to do that now. Okay, thanks everyone. So what I want you to do now is think about the questions on the screen. So what does remainder mean? When do we have remainders? And how do we write remainder in our answers? So pause the video if you need to have a little think about these questions. Okay, so firstly, what does remainder mean? So if you think back to our first lesson on division, we talked about the word remainder and what it means. So if you remember, the word remainder means left over. So for example, on the screen here, I have a picture of 2 dogs and some bones. There are 7 bones and 2 dogs. So if I wanted to split my bones equally between the dogs, they'd both have 3 each and 1 remainder, because this one does not fit equally into the 2 groups. So that kind of answers our second question. When do we have remainders? So we have remainders when something cannot fit into equal groups. It's what's left over. So for example here, we have remainder 1. And how do we write remainder in our answers? So when you write remainder in your books, I'd like you to use the same as on the picture here. So you can put R1 or whatever the remainder is. So as you can see, that is how they've represented the word remainder. Okay, so we're going to move on to our step 1 input now, and I have a question for you on the screen. So there are 7 sweets and 3 children. If we wanted to share the sweets equally, how many would be left? What is our remainder? So remember, there will be something left over, and we need to split these sweets equally into 3 groups. Okay, so pause the video to have a think about how many sweets each group would have and how many would be left over. Okay, so let's have a look. So I'm going to divide my sweets equally into the 3 groups. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, and I've got 1 left over, and I can't split this 1 equally into 3 groups. So that means I have 2 in each group. So 7 divided by 3 is 2 remainder 1. So I'm just going to write that at the bottom so you can see the calculation we've done. 2 remainder 1. So the division we've done here is 7 divided by 3. Okay, so well done if you thought that's how many we would have left over. Okay, I've got another problem for you on the screen. So there are 10 pencils and 3 pupils. How many pencils would each pupil receive if they were shared equally? What is the remainder? So if you're feeling confident with remainders, pause the video and have a little think or have a go at this calculation. And if not, keep watching the video to see how we would solve this problem. Okay, so let's see what our remainder will be. So I'm going to start sharing my pencils into the 3 equal groups because we have 3 pupils, and we'll see what our remainder is. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and now I've got 1 left over that I can't split equally into the 3 groups. So we've got 3 pencils in each group and 1 left over. So our answer will be 3, remainder 1. So the division we've done here is 10 divided by 3, and our answer is 3, remainder 1. And we can do the inverse to check this. So what we would do is 3 times 3 is 9, add the remaining 1, and that's 10. So we know our answer is correct. So well done if you had a go at this one and got it correct. And if you didn't, have a look at the mistake you made. Okay, so like we were using our place value counters to divide without remainders, we can also do the same method with remainders because we can see visually what will be left over. So they've done the first one for us. So we're dividing 3,938 by 3, and we've got 1 group of 3 in our thousandths column, so our answer is 1. So again, if you feel confident, pause the video and do this now and think about your remainder. And if not, keep watching the video and I'll model how we solve this problem. Okay, so I'm going to use my place value counters to get my counters in groups of 3 to find my answer. So I'm going to start with the hundredths column as they've done the thousands one for us. So I've got 3 counters here that I'm going to group together. So I've got 1 group, I've got another 3 underneath which I'm going to group together, 2 groups and 1 more group of 3 underneath that I'm going to group together. So we have 3 groups in the hundredths column. So I can go ahead and put my 3 here above my bus stop. Okay, and now onto the tens column. So I've got 3 counters in my tens column, so I can go ahead and group them together and know that my answer will be 1 because I have 1 group of 3. Okay, and here's when we got onto the tricky part. So we've got 8 counters and we're wanting groups of 3. So I'm going to start seeing how many groups of 3 I can make. So I've got 1 here, 1 underneath, and now I've run into trouble because I have 2 counters left over. And if I think about 2 counters left over, that will be remainder 2 because we have 2 left over. So I've got 2 groups of 3 here. So I'm going to put my 2, but I've got 2 left over here. So I'm going to put remainder 2. So 3,938 divided by 3 is 1,312 remainder 2 because we have our 2 left over. So well done if you did that and got that correct. If you didn't get it correct, have a little look at where you made your mistake. And if you didn't have a go at all, then you'll get a chance to now on the step 1 of the worksheet. Okay, year 5. So here is the step 1 of the worksheet. I'd like you all to have a go at this. You can use the place value charts if you think it helps you, but if you're confident with the bus stop method and remainders, you can go ahead and do that instead. So pause the video to do step 1 of the worksheet now, please. Okay, well done everyone. Now we're going to move on to the step 2 input. So I need to divide 3042 by 4. So I'm just going to have a look at my calculation and think about what I need to do. And this time, our divisor doesn't fit into the first column of our dividend. So can 4 fit into 3? No, it can't, because 3 is smaller. So I'm going to go ahead and put a 0 on top of my bus stop. And this is where you need to listen carefully. If our divisor doesn't fit into the thousandths column of our dividend, we then carry this number onto the next column. So I'm going to put a 3 here, and my 0 becomes 30. And it's important that you remember that, because that is where you could make a mistake. Okay, so my 0 has become 30 because I've carried my 3 across. So now I need to think, how many times does 4 go into 30? But I know that 30 is not in the 4 times table, so I'm going to think of the next closest multiple of 4 that is near 30 and is below 30. So I'm just thinking that 28 is also in the 4 times table, so I can use that instead. So 4 goes into 28 7 times, so I'm going to put a 7. But I've got 2 left over because we're working with 30, and 28 add 2 is 30. So my 4 has become 24, and now I'm going to move on to my next division. So I need to think about my 4 times table again. What do I multiply by 4 to get 24? And straight away I know that is 6, because 6 times 4 is 24, so I can put my 6 here. Okay, but how many times does 4 go into 2? Remember what I said, if the dividend is smaller than the divisor, it cannot work. So 4 goes into 2 0 times. But because we still have this 2 and we need to carry it, it becomes remainder 2. Okay, so 6042 divided by 4 is 760, remainder 2. Okay, so therefore I know my answer, or my quotient, is 600. So I keep saying 600, is 760, remainder 2. Okay. Okay, now that I've modelled how we do that, I'd like you to pause the video and have a go at this one by yourself. So pause the video to have a go now. Okay, well done everyone for having a go. I'm going to talk you through this one now. So as always, I'm going to think, how many times does 6 go into 5? So because 5 is smaller than 6, that's not possible. So I'm going to put a 0 here. And now I need to remember to carry my 5 onto my next column. So my 0 becomes 50. Okay, now I'm going to think, how many times does 6 go into 50? And I know that 50 isn't in the 6 times tables, so I need to think of a number that's close to 50 that is in the 6 times tables. So I'm thinking of 48, and I know that 6 times 8 is 48. So 6 goes into 58 times, but there's 2 left over because we're dealing with 48 and we're supposed to be looking at 50. So we've got 2 left over. Okay, and now I'm thinking, how many times does 6 go into 22? And again, I know 22 isn't in the 6 times tables, so I need to think a number close to 22 that is in the 6 times tables. So I know that 6 times 3 is 18, which is quite close to 22, so I can use that. So 6 goes into 22 3 times, and then there's 4 left over because 18 plus 4 is 22. Okay, and lastly, I need to think, how many times does 6 go into 47? And again, I know that 47 isn't in the 6 times tables, but I know that 42 is, and that 42 is quite close to 47. So 6 goes into 42 7 times, and we're going to have 5 left over, because 42 add 5 is 47. There we go. So 5027 divided by 6 is 837 remainder 5. So well done if you had a go and got that correct, and if you didn't, have a look at where you made your mistake. It could be here with the carrying or with your remainder. Okay, year 5. So here is the step 2 questions. So pause the video to have a go at those in your books. So remember, just have a go. It's all about trying, even if you don't get the answer correct. Okay, and for those of you that want a challenge and are feeling confident with remainders, here is the step 3 input. So I have a problem on the screen and I'd like you to have a go at solving it by yourself. So I'm going to read out the problem and then you need to pause the video and have a go in your books. So here we go. Eva has 13 straws. Here are the straws. She wants to make them into triangles. How many triangles can she make? So you need to think, how many lines are in a triangle and how many straws will she need to make one and how many she's got all together. So remember, you're dividing and you will have a remainder. So pause the video to have a go at this problem on your own. Okay, well done everyone. Now I'm going to talk you through how to solve the problem. So if I think about my shapes, I know that triangles are a 3-sided shape. Sorry about my drawing. So Eva will need 3 straws to make one triangle. She's got 13 straws. So what I'm going to do now is group them into 3. So I want 3 straws in a group, and then I'm going to see how many I have remaining. So let's have a go at grouping. So I know there's 3 straws here, so I'm going to put them together in one group. Then if I look to the right, there's 3 more, so I'm going to put them in their own group. Okay, let's have another look. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to group those together. And 1, 2, 3. There's another group. Oh, but I only have 1 here, so I can't make another group of 3. So that means that I've done 13 divided by 3. And my answer is 4 remainder 1, because I have 4 groups of 3, but I have 1 straw left over that cannot fit into a group. So the answer is 4 remainder 1. So well done if you got that correct, and if you didn't, have a think about the mistake you made. Okay, year 5, so now we're going on to the step 3 worksheet. So for those of you that are feeling confident with division and remainders, pause the video and have a go at this. And even if you aren't feeling confident, just have a go because you might surprise yourself, okay? Okay, well done everyone for completing your independent work. Well done for having a go. So firstly, I have the step 1 answers on the screen for you now. So what I need you to do is pause the video and mark your work, preferably in a different coloured pen. Okay, now I have the step 2 answers on the screen, so have a look closely, have a look at the exchanges and mark your work in a different coloured pen if you can. Okay, and here are the step 3 answers to the problems, so please pause the video and mark your work in a different coloured pen. Once you've finished doing all your marking, could you please write a learning comment in a different coloured pen in your book, as this really helps me to know how you felt about the lesson and the new concept. So pause the video and write a learning comment in your book, please. Okay, well done year 5. Thanks for all your hard work today. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day and I'll see you tomorrow for some more maths.